listen, we talked about it. The moment the players got back into the building, call it 3 weeks ago now, it was going to be a competitive environment. There is no depth chart right now. If you want to play, you got to go earn it. If you want a role, you got to go earn it. They know that. So we were very straightforward and honest with them when they came into the building. I think all we did this weekend was we might have just turned up the notch, just a couple of dials for certain people in the building. So that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing. That's where you bring out the best, not only in your team, but in each individual. So what I'm going to be curious to see is what guys look like when the ball's not in their hands on offense. Okay? Yeah, you're right. We have a lot of weapons. And so how are you going to run your route when you might not be number one in the progression? Okay? How are you going to block for your teammate when he has the ball? Because if you do those things right, then as a coaching staff, we're going to want to get you the ball a little bit more. So it all ties together. It all goes hand in hand, and that's the beauty behind it.
Trades, surprises, and who is that guy turning into, he might be that guy. Draft weekend was wild, and as the dust settles, and you've now had time to watch all the YouTube scouting tape to let people know you also thought Colson Loveland should have been rated higher than Tyler Warren from the beginning, let's say hello to our little friends and talk through all the new additions and what that says about this new regime.
I think we learned a lot about the new regime, especially from that clip where he's talking about the depth chart and no positions guaranteed, and you got to earn your way onto the field. His stamp is everywhere, man. Ben Johnson is just everywhere. From that message to the team to the draft, I think the draft was all about the coaches and the players that they wanted. There was a lot of, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, and I think a lot of Bears fans probably agree with that. Listen, we sat here last week, and I ran through 4 different mock draft scenarios.
Yes, you did.
Of all 7 rounds.
Yes, you did.
That's 28 players.
It's a lot of players.
Literally none of the 28 players that I had drafted in all 4 of those mock drafts ended up being any of the players the Bears selected. So that just goes to show you that I don't know anything about anything. But I did getting Kenneth Grant at 39 and Josh Connerly at 41, like I did a lot of mock drafts, would have been a steal. But yeah, in the scenario that I played out where I did Tyler Warren at 10, I was able to get those guys later and then still get Damian Martinez as a running back later. And I think some of those players were available for the Bears, but they just didn't pounce on it. But let me go back to what I said before about it was all about the coaches. Look at what Ben Johnson did. Look at the players that he took, right? The first player he took at 10, Colston Loveland. I don't think anybody really expected that. There was some people that had mocked that, some people that had mocked Tyler Warren, but everything that I read is like he's the Sam Laporta version of Ben's offense. Like, okay. Then they took Luther Burden, which I didn't think they were planning on taking Luther Burden, but he was supposed to be a first rounder and he fell to 39. And I think they were just like, yeah, we don't necessarily love anybody else here, and this guy's a playmaker, and let's just take him. I've seen him compared to Amon-Ra St. Brown in terms of like his route running and his blocking and things like that. You're like, okay. The other guy, the offensive tackle they took, Ozzie, if you look at his measurables and his RAS score, almost identical to Taylor Decker, who was with Ben in Detroit. And then finally, the running back, Kylie Minogue, or Kyle Monangaye. If you look at his splits, he's basically David Montgomery. I was looking this up, and this is actually kind of wild, so I'm going to spend another couple seconds on this. So David Montgomery, when he was coming out of Iowa State, and Kyle Monangaye, when he's coming out of Rutgers. Montgomery, 257 attempts, 256 for Kyle. 1216 yards, 1279 for Kyle. 13 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns. 0 fumbles, 0 fumbles. 40-yard dash, 463 for David, 460 for Kyle. Yards per attempt, 4.7 for David, 5.0 for Kyle. They're very identical.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of Kyle's strengths revolve just around his patience, vision, toughness, contact balance. These are all things that David Montgomery was excelling at. And like, he doesn't have top end speed, but neither did David Montgomery, right? And so I think that pick was like a slam dunk for them. Like they hit a home run. That's the guy that they wanted. They were able to wait and they were able to get him. So
is that because there was just, I mean, because I was reading that there was just a lot of like running back depth throughout this thing. So I mean, this dude in a lighter running back class probably gets drafted
maybe
higher.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he wasn't one of the people that I had looked at. I was looking at, towards the back end, Damian Martinez, like I mentioned, DJ Giddens, was Devin Neal. These are the guys that I was looking at towards the back end. This Kyle Monanenge was not even on my radar. But then the more I looked into him, I'm like, wow, okay, so maybe they targeted, maybe this was the plan and not just like the fallback plan.
Another to that, like people like type of players, like I was reading about Za Frazier, who was their cornerback, and some article said that like Al Harris had pointed him out to polls back in February. So like they were seeking these people and got the people that they wanted, which, I mean, it's hard and people fall where they fall, but it seems like they
took input from the coaches. You're 100% right. Al Harris was jacked up to have him. He's big, athletic. He doesn't turn his hips very well, so like that's why he fell, I think, a little bit, but maybe they're trying him out at safety. I don't know. The only knock on that guy is that he turns 25. He's like kind of Velus Jones-esque in terms of age, but he's pretty productive in college. I think he had 6 picks last year, 9 pass breakups. So he's there, and if Al Harris sees potential in him, I mean, that's one of the best DB coaches in the league. So sign me up for that. Even Randall L., right? You saw how jacked up he was. I don't know if you saw during the draft. He was like high-fiving people because he wanted Luther Burden, and he got him. And he got a wide receiver. Now, who's to say if they wouldn't have targeted one later for him? But he was jacked up. Dennis Allen. He got Shamar Turner, who's a violent player. He plays with a lot of emotion. He does need to be reeled in, though. He drew a lot of flags in college, so I think having somebody like Grady Jarrett or, some veteran members on the line can kind of help him there. He did 2 of his 3 seasons. He did spend at defensive end, though, so I know we didn't necessarily come out with an edge rusher from the draft class, but maybe that's where they see Shamar Turner. I'm not 100% sure. Their picks, while I didn't see it unfolding that way, I was fine with all of them except for one of them, and that is that guy Ruben Hippolyte.
Before you begin, I feel like a shoe should be named after him because he sounds like a Nike Hypolite. And I know it's pronounced Hippolyte, but I feel like they should make a shoe called the Ruben Hypolite. Like that. So hopefully if he becomes good.
Before we go into Ruben, let's talk about Luke Newman too. Out of Michigan State. Versatile offensive lineman, can play both guard and center. So I think that's some good young interior offensive line depth. They got their starters, but if you can groom somebody to learn behind Joe Thuney for 2 years, assuming they extend Thuney, which they haven't done yet, but I feel like they should and they will. But if you can learn behind Thuney for 2 years, I mean, that's great. I mean, who else are you going to learn from, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was a good pick as well. But Ruben Hippolyte. What's funny is for OnTap Sportsnet, we're taking turns writing about the different draft picks just so everybody can kind of, you're not one person's kind of slammed with all the different profiles. And I had pick 109. Which got traded, and then eventually this guy, Ruben Hippolyte, was picked, and that was the one I had to write about. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this person. This sounds like a made-up name.
Yeah, it does.
And
he's a shoe. Dude, he's a freaking Nike shoe.
I was talking, and then I started messaging the other people, other writers, and they're like, nope, no idea. You're on your own on this one. No idea who
the
this
unknown
person
man
is.
of the draft, dude.
So that was fun to do. But I don't understand that pick at that time. He was picked at 132. He's like, I read a big board. He was like the 430th best prospect. So you're like not even close, right? Not even close. I don't understand it at that time. Maybe you like him, but surely you could have gotten him later. I don't know.
What I learned about him, and you probably read this too, but it says he's a high motor linebacker, led his team in tackles.
Yeah, he's very fast. And that's one thing that maybe they did it for Dennis Allen. Because Dennis Allen was asked about Jack Sanborn, who they decided not to re-sign. And one of the things he said is we have to get faster at the Sam, at that linebacker position. And so Hippolyte was one of the fastest linebackers that they had, so maybe that's the plan. I mean, he's going to be an immediate special teams contributor as well,
Just because of his like speed.
just because of his speed and tackling ability. So
As you said that too, so just going back to that clip that Ben Johnson said, or that we had at the beginning. He said we're going to be watching you when the ball isn't near you, which is kind of like that. That's very interesting because that's like you gotta try all the time, even if you know you aren't getting the ball. Like that means you gotta you're running to first base. You don't get to like not fucking. You gotta hustle. Which so I guess too, you can maybe play yourself into a position if you kill it as.
Some people think that was a shot at DJ. Because DJ takes, he doesn't always give 100% effort when he's not involved in the play in terms of his separation or blocking. He's been kind of, there was that one play where he just went out of bounds. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So some people think it's a shot at DJ, but maybe they're just reading too much into it.
I mean, I guess a good coach is just well, everybody's got to do this shit. So
yeah.
Interesting shot at DJ, huh?
It could have been, but yeah, that pick, the Ruben Hippolyte was that was confusing because there was so many other good players on the board. Braden Swinson, the edge from LSU, was on the board. They need an edge, and there was several running backs that were on the board: Jordan James, Jaden Blue, DJ Giddens. And it was kind of funny is because I think they wanted to take a running back. They wanted to take one at 30, 39 and 41, but I think both Ohio State running backs got drafted right before, and then they ended up trading back. And then in the start of, was it the third round or fourth round, I think they were going to take another running back, but Bashul Tutin and Cam Scatabo got drafted back-to-back picks. And then at 109, the Bears traded back again. So I think that they wanted one of those four running backs, either the two OSU ones or Tutin or Scatabo, and they didn't get either one of them. And I think sometimes the board, I don't think the board really helped them out.
Yeah. This
draft, I think it, I think the first 9 picks, they won't tell you this, but I don't know. I don't think that it went the way they wanted it to.
The Bears?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were, from everything I was reading anyway, they were targeting an offensive lineman or Ashton Genty, and all those players that they would have targeted were not on the board. I think if let's say
so, you don't think
Saints,
they were always going?
No, I think
tight end.
I think if the Saints had taken Shedeur Sanders, for example, I don't know. I think the Bears might have taken Kelvin Banks. I really do.
Yeah.
And from everything I was reading, they liked him, and it could have been smokescreen. And I don't know. I don't know shit about shit, right? But that from everything I was reading, I think they would have taken Kelvin Banks if he was available. So I don't know.
Yeah. I was watching that during the draft, and then they draft these a beast tight end and then a beast wide receiver, and so I started looking into just how bad their offensive stats were. And so they were 32nd in total yards per game, in 31st in passing yards per game, 32nd in yards per play, 31st in third down conversion. So I think and, so many things have shifted towards the offense being better anyways. And I don't know. It's interesting they picked two kind of big playmakers. Like Loveland's, I guess, injured and going to be back at the end of July.
But here's the argument for it, right? Is Ben likes to run 12 personnel, which means that you typically operate with 2 tight ends and 1 running back. So he'll be able to play all of these guys at the same time. And everybody's like, there's only 1 rock. Yeah, but you can still play all these guys at the same time, right? And if you can check out of these plays too, right? So if let's say you line up the 2 tight ends, there's 3 receivers and your running back. If they're in a base package where they have 3 linebackers on the field, you're going to go pass all day because one of those linebackers is going to have to match up with Loveland, and they're not going to be able to, right? Or if they bring in, more of a pass package, a nickel package, or a dime package, then you can audible to run if you don't like the coverage. And, now you got smaller guys that you got to block with your line, and you got Kylie Minogue just rampaging through people. So I think he likes the versatility of that kind of lineup. So I don't know. It was probably by design. It didn't feel like it was to me from everything I've read, but I guess he's got a plan. So in Ben we trust. We gotta I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now that you have a little, it's interesting because I think the immediate reaction was, oh no, why the hell did he do a tight end? I think Lone Star Daddy had texted me last week and said the one thing I would like them not to do is draft that tight end.
Well, we talked last week. It's like, oh, they got 4 picks in the top 100. They should come out with 4 starters. They need to come out with 4 starters. And what do they come out with? Tight end 2, wide receiver 3, a backup offensive tackle, and a rotational developmental defensive tackle. Right? And, I mean, with different personnel packages, you can argue that some could be starters, but, like, they're not, like, surefire starters, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say they took Jalen Walker. That guy's starting opposite Montez Sweat on the edge, right? He probably will beat out Dio in camp at some point. I mean, it'll be a rotational thing, but he'll be the starter. And we didn't really get that, and I think that's why people were kind of I think they were okay with the first 2 days, but then I think they lost people towards the middle of the draft when they took the linebacker and they kept passing on running back when there were still so many available. And we kept talking about how deep it was, and we kept talking about, let's take Genty. Let's trade up for Genty. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's not a priority at all. I think really kind of confused people.
I wonder if that's just like a reflection of the team feeling like the coaching staff feeling like the team underperformed, and with a better system and like putting people in positions of success and directing them, we could actually get more out of the people that we have, and then plus the people we've added, and then these guys become extras to, like, you know, the Luther Burden kind of can do a little bit of everything from a while. Like, you can start to like sprinkle in these fun packages with these dudes.
It's a great point, and I've read that they're both higher on Braxton and Kieran than, you know, the last regime was, or if they feel like they can get more out of those guys. So maybe you're right. I've read some crazy stuff like, oh, they're going to play Ozzie at right tackle and move Darnell to left tackle. Like, I don't see that happening. I think they're happy with Darnell at right tackle. I think they're going to like see where Brax is at left tackle. They're going to like have Ozzie and Kieran maybe battle out for that backup left tackle, or see who makes a better swing tackle in case they need one. But I don't think they're moving Darnell right. I'd be surprised if they move Darnell right, because he's just, you got one spot that's good and it's solid, and why mess with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So as you look at this team now, so we have the team from last year, we've signed all these people, and now we have these draft picks. So kind of going into, the OTAs have begun and things are beginning to get warmed up. I mean, what do you think from a player, like, are the Bears still kind of, in your opinion, maybe missing something as a type of player that they need?
I think they're missing an edge rusher still. I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to rush the passer with as much success as they would like to. They need to sign another edge. I think running back, I think they're okay. I think Swift will obviously be better behind on offensive line. I still don't know what you're going to get from Roshan. He's had some concussion problems last year, and he wears the big old guardian cap thing. Hopefully he's healthy and okay. And then you still got Travis Homer, and now you got Kyle. So that one's a little sketchy. I did hear rumors that they're going to try to sign Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins. So we'll see. I don't think either has much left in the tank, to be honest. Dobbins is younger, so that might be a better route to go. Chubb is 30, coming off another, two seasons in a row where he's had major injuries. So I don't know if Poles would go for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he kicked the tires on a trade either. Seattle just drafted a running back, and then they drafted running back 2 years in a row with Zachary Charbonnet, and I think they're the ones that drafted the Virginia Tech running back. I forgot his name. Oh no, they didn't draft Bioshul. That was Jacksonville. I think they drafted a running back though, so Kenneth Walker could be somebody that you could target. And then and that Jacksonville drafted Tootin, so maybe ETN is a running back that you can target. I don't know. There was some speculation on trade targets. Jalen Warren from the Steelers could be a trade target, since the Steelers just drafted Caleb Johnson as well from Iowa. So there could be some targets out there, but I don't know if he's going to give up draft capital for it. He'd probably just sign one of those veterans, and if they can make a Swift Monange kind of combination with a light version of that, right, with Monty and Gibbs, you're not going to reproduce Monty and Gibbs because both those guys are, really good.
Yeah.
But I think the running back and edge are probably someplace they'll look to in free agency.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
So, still some potential moves maybe.
Yep.
Okay, so as we close out, any final thoughts about the draft, about the position the Bears find them in, or kind of?
I thought the tribute they did with for Steve Mongo McMichael was nice.
Shout out.
I thought the Packers fans actually handled that with class. They were booing the Bears when they were out there, but as soon as the Mongo tribute came on, they got quiet and they knew, right? And so that was shout out to Packers fans there. So I thought that was nice. But yeah, other than that, shout out happy birthday to Podcast Dad too.
Yeah, shout out happy birthday, Podcast Dad, bud. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to 39, the last year of glory.
Cool. So they're starting to. Yeah, things are really. The stove is starting to warm up.
The Bears have been off-season champs, I think 3 or 4 years in a row here. So let's see if that can translate to the field. And I'm still like the point we harped on last week. Like if this shit doesn't work, what do we do? What are we gonna do?
Question for you guys to answer, really.
I don't want to think about it.
Cool. Check out Samir's articles on Tap Sportsnet. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at
SMPatel06.
Yeah, you can follow me at Mr. Rathor's Neighborhood. Also, if anyone is in Chicago, the second Tuesday in May, which is May 13th, I'll be doing an improv show at the Bug House. We're opening up for a show whose name I've forgotten. Sorry, show. I'll tell you guys next week, but we'll be opening up the shows at 7:30, so get there at 7:15. May 13th, Bug House, Chicago. For Samir Patel, I'm Chirag Rathod. We are the Bears in the Neighborhood, and we will catch you all next week.